and welcome to Brand You 2020, The Chat Show, a show for small business owners and entrepreneurs. And I'm Tam, the brand designer.
And hi, I'm Olivia, your personal branding photographer from Shoot and Share.
On today's show, we're going to be discussing the secrets of attracting your ideal client. Sounds appealing, doesn't it? So joining us on the show today is Emma Mills. She's from FG Marketing, and I've known Emma for a while now, and it's really, really lovely to have you on the show, Emma. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh, it's good to be here. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yes, hi Emma, welcome to the show. So marketing is a challenge for any business, but especially for small businesses who like resources. I think that small business watching the show today are probably all thinking that what they want is to attract new clients, because without any new client, your business isn't really a business. It's probably a bit more of a hobby. Mm-hmm. So what we want is to attract, to convert, and to retain that ideal client. But a lot of small business owners and entrepreneurs make that mistake, that fundamental mistake of not identifying who their ideal client is at the beginning of setting up their own business. So before we delve into all the marketing secrets, let's find out a little bit more about you, Emma. So how did you get started and where did it all begin for you?
Well, I was always good at words and pictures at school. So as I'm told that marketing is colouring in, it seemed an obvious choice to take. Marketing wasn't a career path I set out to follow. I was in the right time, at the right place at the right time, and got offered a job as a marketing assistant way back in the day. Spent 8 years learning my craft within a business that grew hugely by 10, 15 times its size over 8 years before I then sadly left. It was hard to leave the people, but it was time to grow, and went into my first marketing management role. And I've always worked in services related businesses, which is why I specialise in that now, and in small marketing teams. So we kind of had to be hands-on. Budgets were quite tight. You kind of had to be a master of all trades in some respects. So it was a really good grounding in being able to then have a knowledge of, not an expert, but a knowledge of all areas of marketing and all the channels. My last corporate role, I left in 2011 and started doing freelance work as a marketing consultant. And in the last 3 years, I've kind of stopped the freelance and it's now a business. So that's a very sort of potted history of the last 35 years. But yeah, so marketing for 33 of that.
Amazing. And it's amazing to see you use those skills and then create a business for yourself. I've done that from my experience, and it's just a wonderful way of tapping into those experiences from the corporate world, and then using them to create that business. So your business's name is FG Marketing.
Yes.
What does your business do? Tell us more about your business itself.
So marketing, FG Marketing is really 3 services now. I've structured it so that I offer quite key areas: planning, which covers the strategy and the ideal client, which we're going to talk about today, but also the content creation. As I've mentioned, the words and pictures, it's something that I love. I have got a very creative side to me, so there's a content aspect to it, which can be building a website to the content for it. It could just be social content, any and every aspect of content. And then the third arm is training. And that may be because I work with some businesses, they don't have a huge amount of budget, so they really need to know how to do it themselves. So I can offer training on different aspects, one-to-one, workshops, webinars, and my specialism is LinkedIn. It's a platform I use myself for my own marketing, so that's one that I offer as a specific training service.
Sometimes it's good to go back to basics. So let's go back to basics. What is marketing, and what is marketing today?
So I've had over the years, mainly from the sales and operations people that I worked with in the corporate field, that it's the colouring in bit, it's the kind of fluffy bit, it is so not that really it isn't. Without the jargon, it's the process of communicating to a defined audience and positioning your product or service to appeal to them. And obviously that is a very quick summary. There are many definitions. Chartered Institute of Marketing will go into it, but I don't want to bamboozle people with really jargony type stuff. There's no point. It is words and pictures, but it's the process of how you use those to engage with your ideal client.
That's perfect, Emma. And obviously, the most successful marketers are the ones who observe, question, and test everything that they're saying and talking about. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. I suppose for me, the key skill, I think anyone that wants to learn anything about marketing is to hone your communication skills. It's the one thing I have done over the years, and that's from being able to listen, being able to read body language. I know it sounds a bit, why would you need that? But actually, when you're getting a brief off of a client, or you're trying to talk to them about something that they're really close to, it's about understanding what really the message is that's coming through. A great example is I had a one-to-one with a lady the other day I've not met face to face, and she's just at the start of her business journey, and she was talking about her service, and I kind of went into my strategy mode and started asking her some questions, and a word that kept coming out was organise. So in the end I suggested to her, that's actually the key service that you're offering. It simplifies everything. So it gives you an idea of communication, that understanding and really being able to listen. Obviously communication then goes into how you then communicate your client's message in the right way. Each platform is different, social media, whatever it might be, so it is about communication. That's the one big aspect of marketing. I think that if you learn anything, that's got to be it.
Brilliant.
Small business owners watching the show today, I mean, how difficult it is today for them to market themselves. I mean, marketing has changed quite a lot in the last just even 10 years, and it's going to keep progressing and moving on. And so how difficult is it going to be for small business owners to really market themselves and their product today?
You know, we're all overwhelmed by the sheer volume of messages on social media, by email, even more so perhaps at the moment, you know, TV advertising, radio, whatever it might be. We're bombarded with stuff. Digital marketing obviously has created a lot of noise, so it's how you rise above that. A lot of people are they think, oh, I've got to be on all these platforms, otherwise I'm missing out. My competitors are on there. What do I say? What do I say? The key thing is being authentic. There's so much false stuff out there. I think a lot of social media can be quite shallow, not talking necessarily in a business perspective, but generally it can be quite shallow. Look at me, how wonderful my life is, blah, blah, blah. So it's about being authentic, I think, and really looking at rising above some of the fluff that's out there. Obviously it depends on your product or service that you're offering, the market you're in, your ideal client, all those things. But yeah, I think it is about being authentic.
That leads us quite nicely into my next question. Why do we need marketing in our business? Why does marketing matter for business owners?
I mean, without it, how do you get your message out there? You know, and some people are not entirely sure what marketing is. Like, and you know, I'm being slightly flippant about the pictures, that, you know, the colouring in kind of thing. But it is about being visible. You know, that's a key word. Definitely in marketing these days, about being visible. It's about being visible to all your audiences, not obviously just your clients, but your networks and other connections as well. People buy from people. That's so critical in a small business environment. So it is important to think about how you build know, like and trust. It's not about the hard sell. And certainly taking that approach myself, I found marketing easier because of that. And that's from somebody who's done it for years. So there's no hard selling. Yes, you are selling, but it's a soft approach. Once people know you, once people like you and trust you, they are more likely to then engage with you. I think it takes either 8 or 10 touch points before a client will generally buy from you.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of small business owners out there, like you said, they need to be visible. They need to break through the noise.
Absolutely.
So they also have to maybe be a bit creative with how they're going to market their product. But posting on social media for the hell of posting, that's not going to really get you what you want, and it's not going to get your service or product seen properly. So I guess what you do is you work with your clients to try and create some kind of sustainable marketing strategy for them that they can then implement with a purpose. What would be the key, what advice would you give to our audience today that would be the key things to look at when developing their own marketing strategy?
Strategy is a scary word.
Yes.
If you've not worked in the corporate arena at all, it's an even more scary word. It was always something I did, but okay, but it's key. Without it, you don't know the who, the when, the why, the how. You don't know any of those things, and that's what strategy does. And it can be quite simple. It doesn't have to be some massive, great big document, but without it, you're floundering around and you won't know where you're going or who you want to speak to, or where perhaps you even want to be in a year's time. So kind of key steps: identifying who your market is, your client, looking at your strengths, your weaknesses, opportunities, threats, known as a SWOT analysis, understanding your numbers. Now, that one has been a more recent learn for me as a small business owner. When I was a freelancer, now I'm a business owner, it is about knowing your numbers. How many customers do I actually need to attract of the ideal type to get where I want to be? Then defining who that is. Where are they? Who are they? Where are they? What is my service or product going to do to make their life better? Where are they at the moment without it? All those things. Your unique selling proposition or value proposition, USP. Everyone has one. One of the hardest things to define, but actually quite a key part of a strategy, because then you are going to stand out from all the noise because you're offering something slightly different. And then what channels do you use? Where are those ideal clients going to be? So there's lots and lots of steps, but sounds like a lot. Doesn't have to be that complicated.
Yeah. So Emma, for a lot of small businesses, it's not that they're doing the wrong marketing. They're probably doing the right marketing, the correct marketing, but in the wrong way. Do you think that that's because there's a lack in the system to maximize their marketing? What could you give business owners advice for there?
We just touched on the strategy, and as I say, it hasn't got to be a scary thing. But what I find with many small business owners that I speak to, they're trying to be all things to all people. They're spreading themselves really thinly across loads of social media channels. There's the fear of missing out if they're not. It's overwhelm. It can easily be avoided. By doing less but better, confidence is gained. Then as the business grows, they might get people on board that would do their social media for them. As long as there's a strategic point behind it, then by all means be across all the platforms if that's where your ideal client is. There's kind of 6 mini steps that you can take to really focus in on your marketing. We're going to talk about this more, but know who your ideal customer is. It's definitely not everyone. Anyone that says it is, that's not the case. Have a goal in mind. We've touched on already. Identify their pain and pleasure points. So what will happen? Where are they at the moment? If they use your product and service, where are they going to be once they've done so? So they've got an issue at the moment. I can't think of an example. They've got an issue at the moment using your product or services. Where are they going to be afterwards? So looking at those, that's quite a key one. Then you can look at the messages so that you can get that across and engage with them. Review where your current marketing is. Is it actually saying that? Is it engaging with them? Even things like imagery. Is that actually going to be engaging with the type of client that you want to be? Or is it perhaps, and I've been guilty of this in the past, I really like that image, that theme, that's something I want to use. So perhaps being quite tough and looking at that as well. Review the channels that you're on. You can always add to them. I've just said that, but 1 or 2 for small businesses is more than enough. And take the time to learn those really well. Learn how to use them properly so that the time you spend on them is time well spent. Then you can move on to the planning stage. That's it really.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of work for any small business owners to do marketing. It seems like there's so much to do. How can we do it all, and how can we be good at everything, whether it's that market researching, the the planning and the executing. But so today we can't talk about all these elements, as far as they're all exciting and interesting to talk to as separate subjects. Today we're going to focus on the ideal client, because I think without any, a good idea of who our ideal client is, maybe we can't really move forward with our business. But, why is that really important? Like you said, why can't we market to everybody? Why do we have to narrow it down?
The amount of people that will say, oh, my ideal clients, anyone, everyone, anyone. Okay, so how are you going to talk to them? Unless you know who they are. It's the one key step that will make most small businesses actually really like marketing, enjoy doing it, because they see value in it and they get some results. So it means once you know who your ideal client is, every activity you do, every channel you invest in, any advertising you might invest in, any marketing budget you have, is being put to best use because it's engaging with that ideal client. That's it in a nutshell.
Business owners, can we be too close to our business to be able to have clarity to identify those ideal clients?
Definitely. I've come late to the party in really seeing myself as a business owner, but now I'm passionate about it and take it quite personally if somebody was to come along and sort of say, oh, do this, do that. But actually having somebody who is not emotionally connected with your business is so valuable, to be able to look at it objectively, to be able to diplomatically say, have you thought about this aspect, that aspect? Actually, your ideal client isn't that person. It's actually this, because it's not necessarily just about the ideal client, but if, like me, you offer quite a range of services, I've really cut down what I offer, because there's bits of marketing I love, there's bits I'm massively passionate about, and they're the elements that I really want to work on. That's what I want to spend my time doing. So some of that ideal client is actually about, is it going to be doing the work that you as a small business owner get the value out? Why did you set your business up? Was it to do 80% of what you don't really like, but it earns some money? Or is it to do the stuff you really, really are passionate about? So, ideal client, got to be defined, lots to think about in getting there. And it can be quite an emotional process to go through.
Yeah, I can imagine quite a journey, because like you said, identifying your client is a great way also for you to kind of review the kind of services that you really want to do. So I think the two go really well together. What would you say are the main mistakes that young startups or business owners make right at the beginning when identifying or not identifying their? What's the biggest
at any stage, there's huge enthusiasm for your own business. Why else would you do it? It's not an easy option. It can be hard work. The main mistakes that I see are really not being clear enough on their ideal client. So somebody might say, I work with accountants, I provide a service for accountants, or I provide consultancy just for HR businesses. I don't know, I'm thinking off the top of my head. Really having the confidence to say, I only work with these types of client, that's who I'm going to focus on. And most people shy away from that because they're scared they're going to niche themselves too much. Yes. They're going to, narrow down their opportunity to work with people. So that's a key one.
Sorry, Emma. Obviously we shouldn't refuse anybody that's not in our niche either. We can't just close the doors. So if we have that client that is, absolutely in our niche and they come, but we have another client that might not be our niche, but we can't really say no either. So that's probably why a lot of people do get scared about narrowing down their ideal clients, because they're scared of closing the doors to everybody else around.
So that's exactly what they should be doing.
But we should be doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because otherwise how does your marketing engage with the client, as you've just described, that doesn't fit your ideal client? Obviously, if I look at my own client base, does every single one tick absolutely every single box? Generally, they will tick 80 to 90% of those boxes, and that's fine. Yeah. There might be an element that they don't, but by and large, they all do. And that makes my marketing so much easier. Yeah. That's the key thing. If you offer your services to everyone, you're in danger of not being clear. Your marketing is not going to be clear, and then you end up engaging with no one at all. So it goes back to one of that.
I think if you're talking to your ideal client and you're using the language they use and using stories that they can relate to, naturally more of those ideal clients will be attracted to you, I think. So I think that's a good way of looking at it, is if you're talking their language, the more are going to come your way.
I have got something else to add to that.
Yeah.
The making your marketing content about them, not you. Yeah. It isn't all about you. It should be all about them, and that's quite a big mistake that I see with small business when they've got their first website, and obviously they're told that they've got to tell their story, and that's fine. But it's about telling their story so that their ideal client can relate to it. That's quite a key element as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's take a quick moment really to reach out to our audience today. I mean, at Brand New 2020, what we want is to really create a business community, and we'd love to hear your stories. So share with us, how did you go about defining your ideal clients? What mistakes did you make to begin with? How has your business benefited from having that clear and defined profile? Please share with us the story, whether you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube. Just share your story with us. We'd love to hear.
Living in a world today of vanity of numbers, where everyone thinks that we need thousands and thousands of followers of potential clients on our database. That's true, Emma. Do you agree with this? In your opinion, do we need thousands, or do we just need 20 clients that are really loyal to us and that we can depend on? Should we be going for quality instead of quantity, or should it be the other way around?
Oh, it's actually a mixture of the two, but in answer to your question of having hundreds of potential clients on a database, that's absolutely fine if they're all your ideal client, which potentially that they won't be. Imagine if they all suddenly wanted your product or service, would you be able to provide that at the same level that you usually do if you had hundreds of people coming to you? On the flip side, you do have to look at the numbers, depending on what product or services your business offers. It may be that you do need volume to get the return on investment, to make the profit that you want to make. So it's all about how many business leads, what the conversion rate is. So without going into too much detail, you do need to look at those types of things. I worked with the recruitment industry and still do for about 19 years now, and they are renowned for having databases of thousands and thousands of people and never cleansed that data. GDPR a few years ago now, that would have done some of that for them, but they've still got massive clunky databases full of people that actually aren't their ideal audience anymore. So it's worth thinking about that. From another perspective, it's about if you were going to do a marketing campaign to this database full of hundreds and hundreds of people, marketing's about being relevant, timely, personal. We all expect to get something that is relevant to us, not generic, because if we do, we just press delete, bin it, not interested, or unsubscribe, which you don't really want. So it's thinking about those kinds of things as well. If you are in a high volume product business, then yeah, a big database is fine, but more specific services, like the kind of services perhaps that I would offer, or consultancy, then I don't want a database of hundreds of people, because I'd never be able to provide them all with that service at the same time.
Identify what you want as a business. I mean, as a wedding photographer, that's a decision I made a few years ago. I could have stayed in that sort of market, that large middle market, where I probably would have needed 30, 40 weddings a year to survive. And I kind of decided to narrow it down to higher level, higher end kind of weddings, maybe do a bit less. So volume of my database wasn't what I was after. I was after that 20 niched, perfect. So I get that. And I think it's important for you to identify what you want within your own business and what your business needs. So where do we begin? So if I'm going to sit down with you and we're going to start defining what my agile client is, what journey do you take me through to start on that
Well,
project?
the first step is actually understanding your business why, because that can actually, and I think I mentioned this earlier in the session, can actually then dictate who that ideal client actually is. So finding out about the person that the business is, what their goals are, all those kinds of things. Where do they want to be in 6 months' time, or even 90 days' time? All those kinds of things to think about before we even sit down and really talk about the ideal client. And it can be quite emotional. It is quite an emotional. Sometimes it's very rational, but sometimes it's quite an emotional process, because it requires a really in-depth understanding. It's not about, I can supply something to anyone in Hampshire or anyone in Southampton. It's really about in-depth starting to look at where those clients are, what they do, what kind of lifestyle do they have, what's their family situation, all those things. Do they travel? Do they have pets? And some people go, we don't need to know all that. But one thing I do usually do is get to a stage where we would fill out all these areas, and and their ideal client gets given a name. Because then you're marketing to someone as opposed to just this entity. It's a bit of fun, but the idea is that it is meant to be fun. It's meant to be enjoyable, not stressful. So we would then obviously look finally at the words that are going to engage those people. I touched on earlier on their pain points and maybe the pleasure points that they have once they've used your product and service. It's coming up the words and messages then that are going to engage them, and that then forms the basis of your content.
And that again will lead us into how the strategy that we use to attract these clients as well. So obviously we need to speak a different language to them. We need to be targeting that specific person that we've now named, and more now than ever we need to make sure that those relationships are personal rather than just process based. What are your tips there, Emma? How do we make that a really personal experience?
So once you know who your ideal client is, everything you do with your business hat on is designed to engage with them. It's not designed to sell to them. Push that to one side. That's the ultimate goal, is to obviously get them on board as a customer, but there's some steps to take first. So thinking about your content, planning your content, using reviewing anything that you have, so that all that is designed to be consistent. So if I look at your profile on LinkedIn, or your Facebook's a slightly different one because people tend to use their personal profiles, but we'll talk about that slightly more in a second. But having a company page on any social media, all of those messages need to be consistent. And then you're going to be engaging with them. It's about being visible, which I know is something that you do talk about a lot within the Brand 2020. It's not just about pushing content out, it's about growing your network, it's about making connections, adding value. All in the back of your mind is always the type of words that you use. That aren't kind of subliminal messages going on all the time. But the idea is that it's consistent. So whether you are looking to grow your connections, looking to join a new networking group, your messaging is the same. When you stand up at networking and say your piece, think about the words that you're using. They should all be consistent. Once you're up and running with all of this, it should only take about an hour a day. So once you've got your messaging and you've chosen your channels, all these kinds of things, it's that consistency across them shouldn't really take too long to do, which is the scary bit, because everyone thinks it's going to take hours and hours, and it's time they don't have.
Brilliant. That's some great advice there. So Emma, who's your ideal client and why are they your ideal clients?
So I mentioned when I explained what my background is, I worked with services-based businesses over the years, recruitment, outsourcing, financial advisors, all sorts of different things, facilities, careers advice, all sorts of things, but always with a service focus. So my ideal client is quite defined, as you'd kind of expect. Service-based small business owner or director, 35 to 55. They've had a successful career in a very specific area, marketing, maybe HR, maybe accountancy, one of those things. They decided they want to set up their own business. They want to come out of the corporate world. I can relate to all this because it's exactly what I did. They're serious about growing the business. It's definitely not a hobby business. They are very, very good at what they do. As I say, they've already been successful. But there are gaps in their knowledge as a business owner that they, would need help with. And marketing is often a key one of those. They're time poor. They're probably cynical about marketing because they don't see immediate results when they do post stuff ad hoc on social media. So they're intelligent to know it's valuable. They see their competition doing it and making a success of it. So there's that old FOMO thing going on. That's it. I'm kind of expanding a bit now, but hopefully it gives you a good picture of who that ideal client is for me.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's great. If we don't know who we're going to market to, we're going to market to everybody. And clearly that's a recipe for failure. I think it's essential, like Emma just told us, that we need to identify who that ideal client is in order to build a stronger marketing strategy so that we can have really sustainable results. We can all learn to attract the ideal client, but let's not kind of lose sight that we also need for them to convert into sales, and we also need to retain them because, as we know, competition is fierce and our ideal clients can just be snapped away very quickly. So thank you, Emma. It's been really lovely having you on the show, and I hope that it's clarified a lot of this, mystify of what is marketing and that marketing isn't such a hard thing, and it could be a real pleasurable and fun thing to do as well.
If anyone is interested in Emma's services, please make sure you visit her website, which is www.fg-marketing.com. Emma, do you have any special offers on at the moment? Any promotions you'd like to have a word about?
Yes, I think the one key thing that small businesses do shy away from is the strategy and that ideal client definition. So I'm offering an hourly session to either look at your strategy or look at your ideal client for £65. If you wanted to buy both, it's £100 for the two, and you would get a bit of homework to do beforehand and then some takeaways as well. So it's not just the hour of me talking.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you so much for coming on the show and joining us and sharing your insight on marketing, which for some people can be quite a scary place. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Tam. Thanks, Olivia. I've really, really enjoyed the session today. It's great to talk to you. I love what you're doing. And everyone, stay visible.
Yeah.
And viewers, make sure you join us next week, Monday, as we welcome the wonderful duo, James and Kelly West from Only Networking, a brilliant networking group. And they'll be talking to us about how to make meaningful relationships whilst you're at your networking events.
Yeah, looking forward to that chat. So guys, obviously make sure you stay with us, befriend us, like us, subscribe us, do whatever it needs, do whatever it takes to just be with us every Monday and be part of the brand new 2020 business community.
Lovely. Thank you, ladies. And don't forget, viewers, be visible. Bye for now.
Bye.